Hello art friends, I wanted to share with you my latest painting, Soul. This is the third painting in my Space Muse series, and it was it was probably one of the more challenging ones. Not just because I was working two paintings at the same time, and as soon as I step away from a painting, I kind of start thinking of what the next painting is going to be, or other painting ideas, and the old painting ideas don't seem as good, so sometimes it can be a challenge to get back to a project that you've put aside for a while. At least it is for me. But besides that, obviously it's a large painting, that comes with its own set of challenges. And then finally, the actual subject matter, the sun, was a challenge for me to paint. Obviously, I've never been out in space, even though I have the shirt. But especially the sun, I can imagine, or at least I think that the closer that you get to it, the brighter and more intense that the light becomes. So a lot of the background space stuff that you might see out in the middle of nowhere in space, you wouldn't see. So I didn't paint any of the nebulas or different colored space all around it, because I kind of imagined that when you get close to the sun, you wouldn't see any of those colors. So but I did want you to obviously know that this sun is out in space, so I did put some stars that were strong enough to, you know, make themselves seen, even though you have the sun so close. I also put a lot of nice red glow all around, to try and give you that sense of heat emanating from the sun. It was also challenging because obviously when you're working with paint, you have the limitations of the actual paint itself, and we know that the sun is so bright that you can't look at it for any period of time without burning your retinas. So trying to get that brightness of the sun's light, trying to convey that to the viewer with just paint is difficult. And then on top of that, I didn't want to just paint the entire disk of the sun in one flat color. I still wanted you to feel like it was rounded. So thank you to NASA again, because they do have a lot of unbelievable imagery of the sun. I also wanted to show some of the sunspots, which always fascinated me ever since I started learning about them in school. I had a lot of fun, in particular with this flare up here, making it part of her hair, and kind of having it morph into one of the sun flares. It was also, this painting was one of the first times that I used an extensive amount of glazing. I try very hard when I mix my paints to get just the right color, so that when I lay it down, it is the right color that I'm looking for. If it isn't, I tend to wipe it off and apply it again. On something large like this, it could get a little bit tricky, especially because I'm the type of painter that works the entire painting all in one shot. So, or rather, I work around the entire painting at the same time. So I'm not one of those painters that starts on one end and basically paints everything to a finish, all as they work their way down. So by the time that you have one entire pass of color, you might realize, well, you know, this area needs to be a little bit lighter, or, you know, this area needs to be darker or warmer, cooler. So I'm constantly having to make those judgments. Regardless, when everything is dry, you always, or at least I always feel like, this could be still a little bit darker, or it could be just a little bit warmer, or cooler, or this might look nice with a little blue glaze on it. So this one and the other one that I was working on simultaneously, the skull painting, both of those are the first time that I've used glazing extensively. So anyway, I'm really happy with the series. I think I want to continue it, but I definitely want to continue it in a smaller scale. Framing something like this is, if I was to go and get it framed somewhere, the cost would be just prohibitive. It would be an arm and a leg. So I can probably build, well, I know I can build a frame for it at this size. It's just quite a bit of work. So if I make them smaller, then I'm still going to have to frame it myself, or build all the frames myself, because the cost would still be just too much. But at least if I make them smaller, then, you know, my workload is not as large. I can spend more time painting and less time building frames. But I'm going to try at least a couple where, you know, the space theme and they're smaller, but I'm going to focus in more on faces. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope that you like it. The title is Soul. I don't know if I mentioned that. Alright, have a good weekend. Thank you.